So this is what the FAFSA looks like. Of course, it's available now. Most folks really won't fill it out until February because after taxes or whatever. But this is the home screen of the FAFSA. Tell your students or remind your students if they have to do it every year. A lot of students will do it, as a senior in high school. They get to college, they forget that they have to do it every year. It's a lot less information you have to do in subsequent years because you're really just updating new tax information and some other information. But remind them that they have to do it every year. But also remind them is when you get to the home page and you start a new FAFSA, there's going to be two options for the FAFSA. There's going to be an option now, like the current FAFSA, there's going to be an option of 1314 and 1415. Make sure your students now that are seniors are doing 1415. Invariably, that almost happens at almost every workshop. A student will get there and they'll click on the very first one. And they're kind of thinking about 13, 14, this is the school year, but it's really the next school year. So the FAFSA has these 6 sections. Student demographic information is for the student. School selection or college selection, which is for the student also. That's where they determine the colleges that they want to receive their information. Dependency determination, we talked about that. That's where the student answers those questions to determine if they need the parental information. And then if they need parents' information, it's the parental demographic information, financial information for both the student and the parents, and then where the student and at least one of the parents will sign and submit the FAFSA. And they'll sign and submit that electronically using their pen. So under the student demographic information, it's questions like the gender, and that's where, if it's a male, you'll see the question about selective service. If it's a female, you won't see that question. So the FAFSA online has something called skip logic. So it's questions that are related to other answers will appear or won't appear based on what the student has answered. And it also pre-populates additional sections once the student starts it. There's a section for the email address. Make sure you tell your students if they use an email address, that's probably where they're going to be communicated with by the school, by the Department of Education, and also by the college. So make sure it's an email address that they're checking frequently, because that's where it used to be that they would send some paper information, but now it's primarily sent to the email address. There are some additional questions like parents' highest grade level. A lot of people ask, well, what does that do? Because it's really not the methodology that awards aid isn't based on that. But some colleges will award certain types of aid to students that are the first in their family to go to college or graduate from college. That's why that question is there. Over to the right, I highlighted this. It's the help and hint section. When you move your mouse over a question, the help and hint section will pop up. And so if you're uncertain of how to answer a question, this section here will give you more information on answering that question. So whenever you're just not quite sure what that terminology means, putting your mouse over there, then look over to the right, and you get that section. More questions on student eligibility is citizenship questions. That's where the question you'll see for the male selective service registration will appear. One question that asks, when the student begins the school year, what will his or her grade level be? That can be confusing sometimes too, because some students that are in dual enrollment, they've taken some classes and some things like that, they'll start college with more than 30 hours. Based on college hours, they're really a sophomore, but if they have never attended college full time, they're still going to be a freshman. I think later on that category will be changed, but for FAFSA purposes, because they're first year, never attended, they're still going to be a freshman. The high school selection, this was added to the FAFSA about 4 years ago, and that one of the things that Greg was talking about was, being able to tell now the students at a high school, now you can go into a portal through Apply Texas, and you can see which of your students, because you tell your students to complete the FAFSA. Have you completed the FAFSA? What do they tell you? Yes, ma'am, I completed the FAFSA. Yes, sir, I completed the FAFSA. Well, this allows you, because when they answer these questions, it goes into that data. So, but the big thing is that they have to hit confirm, and it's real big that they hit confirm. If they don't hit confirm, it'll still advance. So with the FAFSA, a lot of questions won't advance. But if they don't hit confirm, it'll still advance to the next section, but that high school information won't be captured. So make sure you tell your students to make sure that they hit confirm when they're doing that, so that that data can be captured. The school selection is where the students will select the colleges that they want to receive the information. they can list up to 10 colleges. So they're not sure, they think maybe they might as well go ahead and list it. And again, you can list up to 10. So hopefully by this time, most of your students have narrowed that search down to 10. So tell them here's their opportunity to get them all there. And even if they know that they've already been accepted, they know that they're going to one school, they pretty much got everything on lock, tell them to go ahead and list at least a couple more. I always tell students to list a fallback school. So if that doesn't work, then if something happens, they still have information at their next choice or the next school. For a lot of students, they'll list the local community college as sort of their fallback school. They're going off, but something may happen. They may have to be delayed a semester, maybe delayed a year. But if they list their second choice or their fallback, then they already have that information, and so they're not going back to the FAFSA and adding it, which, by the way, students can go back to the FAFSA and add an additional school. Now, if a student has listed 10, what happens is the first school that they list will pop off. So hopefully, you know, if they're going back to add a school, then hopefully it's in time, you know, just allow a week or a couple of weeks so that that school can get the information. But realize it only holds 10, and then the first one will pop off. When a student is, you know, applying for admissions, they're going to apply to admissions to more than one school, I hope. Well, they should be putting that school there. Because one of the things that a student will do, or should do, and a student and the family should do, is compare award letters. Because after this is processed, after the student has been accepted for admissions, the institution is going to send the student an award letter. And the award letter is going to list the types of aid that are available for the student. And that's when the student, and it's a family decision. I mean, it may be decided where he's going, but sometimes you have to make a financial decision based on the aid that's going to be available and what they're going to offer me, particularly what they're going to offer in gift aid and institutional aid. So that's another reason why it's important that they list more than one, so that they can compare award letters. And being particularly look at the different types of financial aid, like knowing how much is available in grants, knowing how much is available in scholarships, knowing how much is available in loans. Because it could be that that need is being met, but maybe the need is being met in gift aid or a grant or free money by one institution. It could be that a higher percent is being matched in loan by another institution. So those are the type of things that a student will need to look at. Obviously, they only list one school. That's not available to them.